everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Bob Stewart. Before we jump in here fully, why don't you guys all do me a favor, and I want you to find the area where at some point you may have a question and you can go to type that question in. So it could be on the little GoToWebinar control panel you have, but look around your desktop there and find that area where you can come and ask me a question. And I'd like everybody to just check in for me and do me a favor. Tell me, because this is a big group here. We've got some Brivity clients. We've got some folks that are not Brivity clients, which is awesome. Welcome. But let me know, like, are you a Brivity client or not? And then where are you at right now? Like right now. And answer that question however you want. If one of my buddies called me and was like, where are you at right now? I'd be like, I'm down in my basement. I'm at my office desk. Right? If one of you guys called and said, where are you at right now? I'd probably say, I'm in Kenmore, Washington. So Brivity client or no, and where are you at? So awesome. Ooh, we got an active group of chatters in here. Good. Laura's like me. She's in her home office. We don't know where that's at. She doesn't want us to know. Luke's in Austin. He's a Brivity customer. Awesome. Chad. Yes, home office. Brivity for a month. Still learning it. Fantastic. Brivity client in Calgary. Love it. Okay, Prescott, Arizona. Oh, when my wife and I lived in Mesa, we used to love to go up to Prescott. All right, great. You guys are all checking in. I appreciate you guys. So that's where you're going to go in a little while. If you have questions, Kevin or Jamie or Lana or Suzanne or Kelly or Bobby Brown, my guy in Puyallup, Washington, my hometown, or not my hometown, where I was born. Love it. I think I told Bobby that the last time he joined one of my webinars. Edmond, Oklahoma. Fantastic. Okay. Enough about that. You guys know where to go and ask a question. Hopefully you've been able to adjust your volume. I can get a little bit loud on these things. And one of the reasons for that is I'm passionate about this subject. I was looking last night to get this story absolutely clear for you guys. We first brought a website online with listings on it in December of 2001. So about 17 and a half years ago, this would have been before Zillow was a thing, right? Like, and we were one of the first people in the Northwest MLS here in the state of Washington to take an IDX feed from the MLS and actually publish listings on the internet. And since December of 2001, I've been working inside of the lead conversion world at some points in my career, very like heavily, just neck deep in leads. We generated hundreds of leads a day in Western Washington for many years. We built a brokerage around that, kind of a small, I think today our brokerage would be more considered a team. We did a couple $100 million in sales in our best year, kind of right before the crash in this area. That would have been 2004. Working leads. And the funny thing is, in all these years, right, like the concepts remain the same. We got to try to communicate to these people a lot, right? Now, the ways we can do it have changed a little bit. Like we didn't used to have Facebook, right? We didn't used to have text messaging. We definitely didn't have automated text messaging, or at least we weren't using text messaging as part of our kind of business, right? So these things have changed over time, but the core tenets and really the way Ben has kind of built this 10 days of pain, these things still apply all these years later, okay? The tactics have changed a little bit, but the core remains. And so I've been doing this a long time. We've converted a lot of leads. We've also fallen on our face a ton. And one of the reasons for that is this is hard. Okay, converting internet leads is hard work, but maybe with a system like Brivity, or if you're not a Brivity client, maybe the system you have, you can automate some of this process. So some of these things can be done for you without you having to do the heavy work. Now, you might have to do some work up front, but if we do the proper work up front, we can definitely convert our leads at a better clip, okay? So the 10 days of pain, let's dive in and talk about it. Let's just get right into it. The step one, okay? We get a lead from somewhere. Doesn't matter where it's from. This is kind of the process that the Ben Kinney teams take at the very beginning. It's this like this lead validation. Now listen, guys, everything I talk about in here, like these are optimal states, right? I don't think every single lead that comes into all of our 20 different expansion locations across the entire country gets this level of validation on the lead, but there's always some level of validation that we do. before we dig in and start making that first phone call. So we're going to like visually check the contact info. Hundreds of times, probably thousands over 17 years now, but we've gotten leads where the person just mistyped their email address, right? And if somebody just mistyped their email and it's, G-A-M-I-L instead of Gmail, right? We can easily sometimes fix those things, right? So we just visually, I mean, that seems really obvious, but we just visually look at it, okay? Like my mother, and she's a real estate agent, 3 months ago, she called me and she was like, hey, I set up a listing alert for one of my clients and she said she never got it. I'm like, all right, what's her email address? And I go in there and in the database, the email is Yahoo's like misspelled. And I'm like, Mom, she didn't get it because you're trying to send it to like Yoha. Like that's not gonna work. Right? So just visually check that, right? Maybe Google their name, their email, their phone number, right? Real simple, okay? If we Google their name or their email, their phone number, maybe we find something about them, right? Maybe we see where they work, right? Maybe we can find stuff on the internet about that person. Now, we use this research software, you guys, and it's actually not, we just moved to a new one. It's not one of the ones on this slide, although people and people finders are solid. We use one called Ben Verified, B-E-E-N, not Ben Kinney. It's B-E-E-N verified.com. And when you look me up in Ben Verified, and granted, I'm a pretty public person on the internet, right? When I freely share lots about myself, it knows every single detail about my life. Like it knows the homes I've owned in the past. It knows phone numbers that I had when I was, in my 20s. It had old email addresses that I haven't thought about since college. Like it's got, including my new cell phone number, right? 3 of my new email addresses. It knows I went to college at Eastern Washington Universities. It knows my job history. Like there's a crazy amount of information that can be found sometimes when we take that extra step. Now, something like Ben Verified is, I think it's $49 for a 3-month subscription, and that's unlimited lookups, right? And you can look people up when you only have a phone number or you only have an address, right? And if you guys are Brivity clients, maybe you have quick leads where you only have a phone number. So we're gonna research and kind of dig in on that lead a little bit and see if we can find any additional information about them. And the next thing we're gonna do, and again, we're doing this before we make our first call because we want that first call to be a smart call. Okay, we're going to research their IDX activity, and really what this means, we're going to research what they were looking at on the internet that led them to me. And if they were on your website, right? If you're a Brivity client, you can see in the back end the properties they looked at. It looks just like that thing we see on our screen there, right? I can see if they viewed 10 properties. I can see if they favorited any. I can see what area are they generally looking in. Are they looking at all 3-bedroom homes? Are they looking at all homes over an acre? Like I can get a sense for what that person's after. Now, sometimes this might not be researching activity from your website. It might be a Zillow lead that came in, but at least I'm going to look that property up. I'm going to have some good kind of insight to that property before I make that call, at least even know what price range, right, that they're looking at. So I'm going to do a little bit of research into what is this person after? How did they get to me? And what do I know about those, the thing they were looking at before they landed as a lead in my inbox? All right, so we do that a little bit up front, right? Check the info, we check the location, wherever are they coming from, right? We might research them a little bit. We're gonna look up their IDX activity, okay? We're ready now to jump in and try to do something with this lead, okay? So the way that we work the 10 days of pain is that first day, okay? The lead comes in. Now, we're gonna see in a minute the actual text messages and emails that start to go almost immediately upon that lead coming into our world. So we are starting communication immediately. Now, sometime in the first 24 hours, and the sooner the better, okay, we're gonna make a phone call to that lead. We have to. I promise you, I'm never gonna sell anybody a house without talking to them on the phone, right? It's the best way that we can build rapport with that lead. We're gonna make that call, and we're gonna do it in the first 24 hours. We know the faster we call them, the more likely it is that we'll get them to answer. But we also have those text messages going out almost immediately as a backup in case we're out showing houses and we can't call them for 2 hours after they came in as a lead. But once we get in there and we make the call, right? We do the research, we look at what properties they were looking at, we actually pick our phone up and call them. We're gonna log the notes of that call, and then we're gonna immediately change the status. no matter what happened on that call, we're changing the status. They're no longer a new lead. They came in as new. We got to get their status changed so we know at a glance we've dealt with that person, right? They're not new. That means we've dealt with them. We've made a call to them because we know that they're out of a new status. They become unqualified if we don't get a hold of them on that call, and we just keep trying them and they remain an unqualified. They move to watch. Sorry, they move to nurture if they're 6 months or more out, that we put them in watch if they're somewhere 3 to 6 months, and we make them a hot lead if they're going to do something in the next 3 months, or they have a definitive date in the future that's going to dictate their action, right? We're being relocated, but we're not coming into town until October, but we're definitely moving into town in October. Okay, great. Not in the next 3 months, but I'm still going to call them hot because I know they have this event that's occurring that's going to have them moving. We're going to add notes, right? So if we had a conversation with them, we learned something about them in the research, right? We're always updating the database so that when we come back later, and guys, I promise you, no matter how big your brain is, and I have a little pea brain, right? Like in terms of like memory and keeping things in order, my wife, my mom, both elephant brains. My mom's a real estate agent. I could probably keep 5 clients in the air remembering all the stuff they've told me about their lives and their situations and their location and price and their mortgage and all that, right? I could keep 5. That'd be the max. When that 6th person told me that they had 2 kids and a dog and they need to have a big yard for the dog, and I would forget that, right? Unless I recorded it somewhere in the CRM. And this seems so simple and stupid, but every day in every one of our CRMs across the Ben Kinney organization, an agent is forgetting to put information in about a lead. And when we come across that lead later and we say, hey, what's going on with this person? They go, oh yeah, I talked to them and oh gosh, let me find that notepad. What did I say? Oh, God, I think I left a note on my phone. I don't know. But we got to get it into one central location, right? So we're always continually like updating and doing it. Now we're making that contact attempt. These are some of the different ways that we've done this over time, okay? It used to be on Facebook, you could use their email address to look them up. You can't do that anymore on Facebook. But we'll still sometimes try to go look up names if they have a unique name on Facebook and see if we can find them on Facebook and maybe try to make a reach out there, right? Sometimes when we get address-only leads in our world, we might do direct mail, or we might show up on a valuation site's door and knock on their door and deliver them a CMA, right? We're definitely making phone calls, texts, and emails, and that is it's really the crux of the 10 days of pain is those first 3 things. Those other things we can use. Video emails been really successful for us over time, right? Where we just send from our own cell phone a quick message. I just video myself. Hey, this is Bob. Just wanted to let you guys know I've been reaching out to you for the last week. Haven't heard anything from you, which is totally cool. But listen, I'm a real person, so just reply back and let me know what are your guys' real estate plans in the next 3 months, right? Video email, boom, send. Or video text, I guess it could be even. So this is some of the ways, right? Now, this drip listing alerts and updates, listing alerts, they call them different things in different systems. E-alerts, property alerts. It's the idea that we're going to set them up on a search, right? And every day that something new in that search becomes available, they're going to get it. Now, this is, I go into probably more agent CRMs than 99.9% of the rest of the people in this industry even, right? I see a lot of you guys and the way that you operate. One of the things that I see quite frequently is people don't set their leads up on listing alerts until they talk to them. And we are exactly the opposite. In some cases, we may even set them up before we even try to talk to them, right? It's one of those things we do right in the beginning, right? We research the lead, we look at their IDX activity, we set up a listing alert based on what they were looking at. And the reason we do that, there's a couple of reasons we do that. The first reason is we generally know something about what they're looking at, so let's get them more of that thing to look at so that we can keep them in our world. This is equally as important on your own website leads, right? But think about a lead from Zillow. Okay, they were on Zillow, they got into your database, and I just did a call with one of our Ben Kinney expansion teams. They had a bunch of Zillow leads. They had 300 Zillow leads. They had about 150, about half of them set up on listing alerts. So of the group of 150 that have been set up on listing alerts, about 60 of those people had made visits to their website at some point since they were set up. Guess how many of the people of the 150 that had no listing alert had ever been to their website? It's a big fat zero. Zero of them had ever been to their website, which means what? Which means the next time they had a question about a property, they were still on Zillow, and they just filled out another form and ended up in another agent's database. Somebody is eventually going to peel them away from Zillow and get them looking on their website because it's got updated information, right? It's sending them listing alerts, and so they don't have to go looking for it. It just lands in their inbox each morning. So just as a standard, everybody in our world gets listing alerts, and sometimes we get leads that come into our world and they don't have a listing alert set up on them. And guess what? They don't have a property. We don't know what they looked at. Sometimes we even buy a database of an agent that's going out of business. Agent goes out of business. We're the first one at their door. Hey, Jim, so sorry, man. I heard that you're leaving the business, but you know what? I know you're going to have a great career and whatever you choose to do next. Listen, do you have a database? Would you like to sell it? How many? You have 1,200 people in your database? Awesome. We'll give you $2 a person, $3 a person. We'll take that database and we'll just go set them all up on listing alerts. Guess what happens when you set 1,000 people that don't know you up on a listing alert? Like at least 5 of them reply, and you guys have all gotten a reply like this if you've been in this industry for any amount of time, right? All caps, smoke coming out of their ears. And they're like, "Who the hell are you? Where'd you get my email?" And you say, "Oh, sorry, we absorbed the Jim Smith team database when he went out of business, and so whatever," or just delete and move on. But out of that group of 1,000, 100 of them are going to come back to your website. They ain't going to say nothing. They're just going to show themselves to you as somebody that might be interested in real estate again right now. You guys probably all have old leads in your world, right? Old Zillow leads, old pay-per-click leads from the last system that you were on. As long as you can figure out where those are at, identify them in the database, just start setting listing alerts up for them, right? Now, on a new lead, which is what we're talking about here, the 10 days of pain, we do this on day 1 because we don't want to let another day lapse that we're not delivering something they want to them. And what they wanted when they started this whole process that landed them in our database is what? Listings. They're a buyer lead, right? All right, so you're 5 times more likely to contact a lead by responding in 5 minutes versus 10. This is a really old stat. This is before text messaging was a big deal, okay? We have ensured, or we've given you the tools to ensure that every one of your leads can get something from you guys in the first 5 minutes, right? It could be a text or an email in the first 5 minutes, absolutely guaranteed every single time, as long as we have a phone number or an email. Now that call, we want to try to get it in as fast as possible, but you guys are real estate agents. Like, you're not just sitting on a computer all day long waiting for that next lead to come in. So we need that system behind us to get that communication started fast, because it greatly increases our odds of getting into a conversation with that person if we're fast, okay? So as we go through this plan, we're going to get into the actual 10 days of pain. You guys are going to see the scripts and the texts, but our goals in this are a couple of things. We want to identify their motivation level. Are they an A? It means they're moving in the next 90 days. A B means they're moving in the next 90 to 180 days. Or are they moving 6 months or more? They're a C. We want to try to gather additional contact information for them. So if they were a quickly lead from me, I'd always be saying, hey, let me get your email address so I can start sending you listing alerts, right? Hey, I know you guys have been looking at a house to buy, but do you have a place to sell as well? Maybe you'd want to give me the address for that, and we could get you guys set up on a market report so you can kind of see what's happening around your house that you need to sell first right now before you buy that next one. Right, we're always looking for that additional phone number, email address, physical address. Another goal is to build rapport. Okay, we want to get them to like us. We want to get them to think that we're a valuable thing in their life. On our team, we talk a lot about building wealth through real estate, and and you'll see some of this in these text messages, this idea that Well, we're not just trying to sell you a house right now today. We want to be an advisor to you who helps you build wealth through your life. And then this last one is like literally the most important one, right? We want to convert these leads into appointments or generate referrals. And so you'll see as we get into here, we're pretty direct. We ask for appointments. We say things like, does tomorrow or the day after work better for you, right? And you'll see that come to life here in a minute. There's just a lead, right? Until you set an appointment with them, they don't become your client or your potential sale or whatever you want to call that person that you're now working with, you've signed a buyer's agency agreement with. Before that, they're just a lead, and they're just as likely, by the way, to do business with someone else as they are to do it with you. So we're always closing for that appointment. You'll see some of that come to life in here. Let's talk for why did we create the 10 days of pain? Why do we do it this way on Ben's team? So there's a few things that we like that we're like kind of religious readers of on a yearly basis. The Swanepoel report is something that if you're a real estate agent who wants to be in this industry for a long time, you should read Stefan Swanepoel's report that he does every year about kind of where the industry's heading. That's one that's always on our list. Another one that's always on our list comes from the National Association of Realtors, and it's the the NAR Home Buyer and Seller Survey, and they put this thing out every single year. And if you dig deep into that and you read through the entire thing, there's a lot of really interesting statistics in there, data. And one of the things that Ben picked up on years ago was this concept that the average customer that goes on the internet looking for their next home spends somewhere between 9 and 12 months on average. It ranges based on like seasonality and stuff, but 9 to 12 months is the life cycle from today I sit down and go, honey, we should think about buying, like, it's funny. My wife literally texted me this morning, hey, should we sell one of our rentals and get a cabin? We've got young kids, and so we're like thinking, how are we going to set up our life for these kids, right? Should we get a cabin on a lake somewhere out in Washington? And I'm not going to buy that thing today, right? In fact, I went on the site earlier and I started looking. It's going to be 9 months. It's going to be a year. But here's the thing that's also in that NAR Home Buyer and Seller Survey. A high percentage of the people that spend 9 to 12 months decide which agent they're going to work with in the first 10 days. We didn't make it the 10 days of pain just by pulling a number out of the air. NAR told us people decide the agent they want to work with in the first 10 days. So we were like, crap, we don't know if we got them on day 1 or day 6 or day 10. We got to be highly aggressive with them over the course of that 10 days because a lot of them are going to decide they want to work with us or they want to work with somebody else during that time. Now, the trick here is that they might not say anything. They might have picked us, but sometimes they think, oh, I'm 9 to 12 months away, right? Like, I don't want to bother this person. They've been so nice. They've been super, gosh, they're sending lots of stuff, is getting the listings. I'm actually going to look at them, but I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to reply. That's okay, as long as we can keep staying in contact with them. Like, listing alerts is a great way to do that, right? Just continue to drip on somebody without us having to do anything over this long period of time, delivering something that's kind of highly unique to them, right? Properties, based on a location and a price range that they were interested in. So that's why it's the 10 days of pain. They pick their agent in that first 10 days. Okay, so we have to be highly aggressive in that first 10 days. And if any of you guys have ever met Ben Kinney or seen him speak or listened to him, yeah, can I spell Stefan Swanepoel's? I think it's Swanepoel. Swanepoel. Stefan, he's a great guy. Anyway, so we do the 10 days of pain because of that reason, okay? So our email rules, short and concise. You'll see our emails in here. Every once in a while, we might get into a 4th paragraph, but generally 1, 2, 3 paragraphs max. Very short paragraphs, a sentence or 2. Short and concise, okay? And we're always asking for appointments. We're always trying to angle something we can offer them that would be worthy of them wanting to come and sit down with us. Phone rules, we almost always leave a voicemail, and I'll tell you what I mean by that in a minute. And this is just something our teams do when we make calls in general. We stand and we smile, and there's some psychology behind that. I'm not going to go into what that psychology is, but like, get up there, take deep breath, get a smile on your face. It'll change kind of what that conversation sounds like initially. And then we're big on matching our audience, matching the level of our voice to our audience. Like, I would never call a lead, right? And a sweet old man picks up and he's like, hello, you know, that kind of elderly man's voice. I would never launch into this voice, right? I would come down here and I would match him. Hey, Jim, how you doing? This is Bob Stewart. Listen, right? I would match their voice. So just a couple little things that we like to think about as we're getting ready to do this. And we're getting close, okay, guys? We're getting really close. I want to talk, before we get into the actual 10 days of pain, I want to give you guys a couple of reasons why leads don't get closed. And on Ben Kinney, on our team, so we have 20 locations around the country now, Ben Kinney expansion teams, all running under this same model. We've found some kind of consistent themes, right? Now, some of these themes we've completely stomped out of our world. Like, we don't communicate fast enough. There is this crazy, to me, it's just insane. And I don't know the exact number, so I won't even quote the stat. It's a very high number, though. In the real estate industry, it's well north of 25%, which is more than a quarter of the leads that generated in our industry go 100% unanswered or responded to. We never communicate with them. It's not even a matter of fast enough. We literally never do. Now, we've totally eliminated communicating fast enough as a problem, because our plans can trigger automatically, and that first text can go out to them 3 to 5 minutes after they were on the website, and you don't have to do anything. So we've completely eliminated that as an issue for why our teams didn't get leads closed. And guys, Ben Kinney's organization closed 2,342 transactions in 2018. 2,342 transactions across, and at that time it was only like 17 teams. That's a lot of transactions. Guess what? There was tons of leads in our database that we didn't convert, and a lot of them were number 2. We just gave up. We stopped. They didn't reply in the first 10 days, and then we never set another reminder to follow up with them once a month, like is our standard. Or we never got a listing alert in play, like is our standard. So we just stopped communicating with them. And look, in that first 10 days, we were really aggressive, and they picked us, but they didn't tell us. If we stop communicating after that, guess what? They end up picking someone else. We don't look for buy signs. One of the most egregious kind of violations of this that I see when I go into agent databases every day, one of the very first things I do when I go into any agent's database is I look at who was the last person to visit your website, and then when was the last time you tried to communicate with that lead? Every single day I see a lead that was on an agent's website today, and the last time I tried to communicate with them was 7 months ago, was a year ago, was 6 months ago. And very often, by the way, that 7 months ago was when that lead first came in, and I haven't done anything with it since then. But there's a buy sign in there. They've come back today. Maybe they've even gotten more aggressively, that they're coming back more frequently now than they were in the beginning, right? We're not looking for those signs of that. We send spam. I think a lot of the long-term nurture campaigns that agents deliver to their leads are just spam. They're just crap. Look, maybe if I sent this long-term nurture to 1,000 people, there'd be 5 people in there that would want to get my curb appeal email. But I've also got somebody in there that owns a condo where that has really no bearing on them, right? And so when we send this kind of generic real estate stuff to people, always it's going to land on somebody that it doesn't make sense for. That's why we rely on listing alerts to be our long-term drip nurture element. And we just be very aggressive in the first 10 days, and then we move to once a month follow-ups after that. We can't build rapport on the phone. And I mean, we use a thing called LP Mama. I'll show you that in a minute. And we just focus on the wrong sources, right? The wrong, we got this really cheap, great lead source. Oh, well, guess what? That lead source actually sells the same lead to 10 other agents at the same time as they sell it to you, right? And you spend all this effort and energy like focused on a source of leads where you're competing. This is why your team, that's why your agents don't close them. But this is like as the leader of that team, there's just more reasons, right? They say the wrong things. They don't say the right things, right? They don't practice their scripts. They don't practice their LP Mama script every morning from 8:30 to 9 like we do on the Ben Kinney team before they get in to actually saying those things. So what they're doing is they're practicing on your leads. Those leads you paid money for, your agents are practicing on them. They just don't do the activity. They make the first call maybe. They don't make the second call. They don't make the third call. They don't make the monthly calls after that. They don't put in the activity. Sometimes we can give them too many leads. And when we do that, when we give them too many leads, they then just scratch the surface on everything. You're going to fail when you just scratch the surface on everything. They only email them. This is we have text now. So like, I would much prefer they only text them to they only email them. Some people are scared to get on the phone, but like email, of those three options, get on the phone, text, and email. Email is by far the worst. Right? It's the easiest, right? I can have all these templates in there and I can email them templates. I saw earlier today, this is exactly what I saw, okay? I should say their name on here just to give them a little, but okay, so lead came in, plan kicked off. First three texts went, person didn't reply. On the second day, we're gonna see this text. The text says, hey, would you like to set up a tour of any of the homes that you saw on the website? Does today or tomorrow work better for you? This lady replied with, well, we're just getting ready to leave town. Not, no, I don't want you to be my, not, no, I don't want your help. Just, no, I can't go see houses today or tomorrow. We're getting ready to go out of town. This just makes me ill. I'm ill right now. Okay, so the agent didn't respond to the text. I don't know why, by the way. 2 days later, she sent a templated email that basically said, hey, what's your guys' time frame? Like, and it wasn't a bad email. It was just a horrible email for that scenario, right? She should have absolutely, fine, email. But say, hey, I know you guys just headed out of town. When are you coming back? Like, give me a little bit of better idea of what you guys are looking for. You know, I've got this listing alert that I already set up for you, but I'd like to refine it a little bit. In a perfect world, she would have replied to the text and said that same thing, right? Like, why move to a different communication channel? Look, email, it's your worst option, okay? I used to think phone calling was your best. We are getting really, really good at text messaging and getting people to, and building rapport through text messaging. One of the things about that is you got to be fast, right? People, you need to be able to have a conversation, not let them wait 2 hours or 2 days. You guys, I can't tell you how many people I see across our network where it's like, they don't respond to a text for a day, 2 days. Like, what? What are you doing? You're not going to convert that person. You're not building rapport with that person. As a team leader, you don't inspect what you expect, right? So you could go, you have Brivity. You go and you put this 10 days of pain. You say, look, we're going to trigger out on all your guys' leads, right? And then you come back 2 months later and you go, guys, what happened? We haven't converted anything. And then you realize, oh, well, the plans are going, but your agents aren't making any phone calls. You didn't inspect what you expected from them. Or maybe you just have the wrong people on the team. Maybe you don't have people that are willing to get in there and do the hard work of making the phone calls and following up with leads. This is not easy. It's not, internet leads are one of the hardest sources of leads to convert of anywhere you would get leads. Open house leads, easier, right? Sign call leads, easier. The percentages on open house leads, this might shock, or maybe it won't shock some of you guys. So on Ben's teams, we look for this. In the first 6 months that the leads have been in our world, we expect to convert 1 to 2% of those leads. In the first 6 months, guys, we get 100 leads. We expect that 1 or 2 of them. Now, some of our teams have gotten to 2, sometimes 3, but our expectations are 1 or 2. Okay? It's important to have realistic expectations. From that point, in the next 6 months, so let's say 100 leads came in on January 1st. By July 1st, we would have expected 1 or 2 transactions out of those 100 leads. By the end of the year, that next 6 months, we'd expect another 1 or 2. Let's say we're doing good. We've got 2. So over a year, we're happy with a 4% conversion rate. It doesn't seem like that much. In the next year, we expect to pick up another 1 or 2, right? So at the end of 2 years, we believe we're doing okay if we got a 6% conversion rate. Now we get higher than that sometimes, right? We also fail on that sometimes. And it's almost a direct correlation between our teams that say the right things, but really do the activity. They make the calls. They continue to follow up once a month over time. They're religiously looking at the people coming back to the site from the listing alerts and catching those people with smart calls and smart text messages at the time that person's on the site. All right, here it is, the actual 10 days of pain. So when we get a lead that comes in, right away and immediately, we want the agent to make the call, but they can't always, okay? But the task gets set for them 1 second after the trigger happens. And when I talk about a trigger in here, you guys, that is how we apply the 10 days of pain auto plan to our leads. When we can set these things up based on like a source, right? So anytime a lead comes in from a source of Zillow, we trigger our Zillow 10 days of pain plan. And if it comes in from our website, we trigger our website 10 days of pain plan. So after the trigger, after that plan gets applied, which you can just think of as when the lead came in. So 1 second after the lead came in, the first task is there for the agent to do. Now they might not get to it right away. We're gonna see how that could be okay. But when they're gonna do that task, they're gonna prepare for a smart call. Start with getting to know your future customer. What information can I tell about them just from their phone number? Are they from out of the area? Their email address, can I pick up where they work in that thing? Then maybe I go and you know, at the bottom, it's turn one piece of contact info into multiple. That's where I might go out to a Ben Verified and look them up and see if I can get some extra information about them. SMARTM. Make sure they have a listing alert set up. So we get a listing alert in place. Ask yourself what you can learn about the lead from their contact info, phone number, email address, right? Review any properties they looked at. Turn one piece of contact info into multiple. So we're just getting ready to make that call. The other task then is make the call and change the status. The first day that we get a lead, we call 3 times consecutively. If they don't answer the first time, we hang up. If they don't answer the second time, we hang up. And if they don't answer the third time, we leave a voicemail. Okay? Our voicemail directly addresses their query. Hi, this is Bob Stewart with the Ben Kinney team. You were on our website earlier today and you looked at 4 properties in Bellingham, all between 200 and 300,000. I'd love to talk to you a little bit further about what your guys' actual price constraints are, and also if you guys have another house that you might be thinking about selling. But only on the third call. Now, you got to be ready for somebody to pick the phone up on the third time you're calling them and be like, what the hell do you want? Right? And our people have heard that a lot, right? So they're, hey, I'm really sorry. Listen, this is Bob Stewart with the Ben Kinney team, and you had just registered on our website, and one of the services that we provide to everybody that does that is a free consultation, and we wanted to make sure you got that consultation, so we were just really trying to track you down. By the way, this is the same aggression we will use to get you your house, to find that perfect house for you for the lowest price, right? You got to be ready for that. So we call 3 times that first time. We only leave a voicemail on the last attempt. I should say this. This is our approach. We're very aggressive. We sell a lot of houses using this approach. We know that when you do it, it works. Adjust accordingly. But every adjustment you make away from this to dumb it down, to make it more comfortable for you, I promise you will be less results. Then we change the status of the lead based on what happened. Now, this is the first text that goes out. Hi, and we use these placeholders. So you'll see these in different spots in these texts and emails. It's gonna fill their name in automatically. Hi, Jimmy, thanks for visiting my website. Are you looking to buy a new home, sell a property, or maybe invest in a rental? Ben, the Ben Kinney real estate team. That text goes out 5 minutes after the lead hit our site. So we're getting our communication in the first 5 minutes. Some people do it 3 or 4 minutes. You have the freedom to adjust that timing. Here's the first email. Basically says something very similar, maybe slight variation on it. But hey, I sent you a text message. This email goes 4 minutes after the text. This entire plan will pause if they reply to one of my text messages. So if they replied to this text, hey, we're looking to buy and sell, it would stop the entire rest of this plan. The plan has achieved its goal, which was to get Ben talking to this person. High five. Ben's got to take it from there. If they don't reply to that text, this email will go. 1 hour after the first text, and guys, we used to do this much more frequently. We pushed this out a little bit on the first day. An hour after the first text goes, the second text says, if you were looking to buy, where would you want to live? We are often, so there's this phone call script called LP Mama, where we're trying to identify the location they're interested in, their price range, right? Location. Hey, I noticed you were looking at homes in the Bellingham area. Is that the specific area you're wanting to buy in? Or are you guys open to Ferndale and Linden as well? Price, right? I saw that most of the houses you were looking at were between 250 and 350,000. Is that the price range you're looking to buy in? LP Mama Mortgage. Were you guys going to be paying cash for your purchase? And we'll see this coming out here, right? Let's keep going. We'll hit some of these other LP Mamas here in a minute. So that one's location. 1 hour after the second text, a third text goes. Now, we've sent them a text 5 minutes after they started, an hour later, now an hour after that. So that third text, we call this our guilt text. Hi, this is Jimmy, right? I hope I don't have the wrong number. All we want, we're just trying to get them to respond. If they reply, now we know we got a hot number, right? We know we got somebody we can get into it. Oh, fantastic, Jimmy, right? Because sometimes they'll reply and they'll say stuff like, on this third one, right? No, and it might be much later, by the way. No, you have the right number. I'm sorry, I was at work. I couldn't text back. This one gets a bunch of response, you guys. It's our guilt text. All right, so this is a little bit, day one is the next day. The 0 day is the day they come in. Day one is the next day now. So look here, that first day, what did we do? We called. We sent 3 texts, and we sent 1 email. We had 5 communication attempts in the first day. Okay, day one now, a second call attempt, right? We get them on the phone, you know, hi, Jim, this is Bob Stewart. I'm calling with the Ben Kinney Real Estate Team. You recently registered on our website. And I noticed you were looking at homes in the Bellingham area. Is that the specific area that you're wanting to buy? Are you guys open to maybe like Ferndale, Linden, some of those outlier communities? But second attempt, right? I'm going to call them again. Imagine that. Our fourth text is going to go on this second day, day one, right? Would you like to see any of the homes you saw online? Does today or tomorrow work better for you? Going for the appointment. This is the actual text that lady responded to and said, oh, we're going out of town for a little while. And then the agent emailed her 2 days later with just a generic email. Right? We're going out of town. Oh, that's fantastic. But so I hope it's a vacation. I love vacations. Are you going somewhere sunny? When are you guys going to be back? We'd love to set up a time to have you come in and meet at the office and talk about what your real estate plans are for this year. All right, we're to the next day now. And you'll see a cadence in here as we move from emails to text. You see email during the day, email in the morning. Our texts are always in the afternoon. And the reason we do that is people check their emails at work, and they're generally more likely to be able to have text conversations after work. So we have the emails go in the morning and the texts go in the evening. Second email. Hi, Jimmy, check this out. Now, this is particular to Ben's team. You guys would have to have something that your lender offers that's particular to, right? You might have to adjust this. This is actually something that any Keller Williams agent out there could potentially talk about. But, you know, my company offers a unique program that provides a mortgage to our buyers with 0 lender fees. Usually saves my clients between $2,000 and $5,000 on their purchase, right? This is getting to the financing component of LP Mama. When you decide to buy, do you plan on pay cash or need financing? We send a similar text that night. By the way, you'll get the recording of this. It will include these slides. So if you're not a Brivity customer, you can get these things. If you are a Brivity customer, we'll have them this plan actually loaded for you guys in the next couple of days. Fifth text, that same thing off that previous email, right? Day 3, third email. Now you'll notice we're actually, this is the 4th day, right? Day 0, 1, 2, and 3. We've only made 2 calls at this point, so it's not too tough, I don't think, for the agent, right? The system's doing the rest of this stuff, right? This is getting to the component of motivation and like motivation in LP Mama, right? Like, when are you looking to purchase? What is your motivation right now? Right? This allows us to make them an A, B, or a C if they respond to this one. And I mean, is anybody going to be shocked that we're going to follow up with a similar text message that evening or kind of towards the end of the workday? I might have messed that one up. I think I messed this one up, guys. This one should be a follow-up on, oh yeah, no, 5th text. Oh yeah, same, good. 3rd email, ready to move. 6th text. Oh, okay, here we go. 6th text. We have some homes coming on the market in the next few days. What is your time frame for purchasing? A very similar thing to the email, right? We're trying to identify that motivation level from LP Mama. On day 4, so we give them a couple of days where we didn't call them, right? We called them on day 0 and day 1. And then we don't call them on 2 or 3. So it's been a couple days since we've called them. Now we're going to make that 3rd attempt. And it's our last call attempt as part of the 10 days of pain. They haven't answered. It's been about, how many texts has it been at this point? 6 texts and 3 emails and 2 phone calls. They've avoided us 11 times by this point. Okay, we got to keep digging. We stop calling though. Now we let the system dig for us. Jolene calls this, like, this kind of, these elements, like you don't have to feel bad, right? Because like, Jolene and Ben, by the way, I don't know if you know who these people are. Jolene's kind of Ben's right hand and runs the expansion operation for the Ben Kinney teams. She's a little bit softer than Ben is. I don't think Ben would ever like care if they feel bad or not, right? I mean, I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but he's pretty just hard charging. She's a little bit softer, and so she says, look, I think a lot of people by this point, right? I said it was the 11th to 12th contact attempt. If they haven't replied to us at this point, they might feel bad about replying now, right? They get guilty. I'm just going to ignore this. I don't know this person. I'm just going to ignore it, right? So she wants them to know, look, I know you haven't responded to me yet, and I don't want you to feel bad about that. Even if you aren't looking to buy or sell in the near future, I'd love to help you build wealth through real estate one day, right? When can we get together? Was there an email? No. So that kind of don't feel bad right there, right? We keep moving on. Email, again, during the day when they're at work. This guy, God willing, everybody lives somewhere. And a lot of those people own the house they live in. And a lot of the people that are going to be buyer leads in your world have a house to sell, right? We should ask them about that house they have to sell. And so many of my clients have a property they need to sell before they buy their next home. I usually start by sending them to, and we can use this placeholder to send them to the agent's subdomain home valuation page, right, to get an instant value of what your home might sell for. Or I'd be happy to come over, right, angling for an appointment, right? Do you need help selling a property? Text, would you like to see a report of all the active, pending, and sold properties in the last 30 days in your neighborhood? What's your address? We have a market report tool. If somebody replies and said, yes, I'd love to see that, we'd say, awesome. You forgot the other part of the question, which is what's your address? Let me know that and I'll get it set up for you right away. Next text, we just keep trying to layer value in there, right? You want a market report? You want to learn how you could save some money on your mortgage? What if I could show you how owning a home could save you or make you an extra $20,000 in the first year alone? Would that be worth a few minutes over coffee? Now, you can't use this text unless you could actually sit down with somebody and do this. Right? Talk about things like mortgage deduction or deferred appreciation or accelerated depreciation, I'm sorry. Our agents are trained to be able to do that, so we can offer these kind of things, right? We can offer these things in exchange for an appointment. Again, at any point along here, if they replied, the plan stops. They might never get to this point, right? A lot of people do get to this point. That's why we only convert 6% of our leads over, 2 years. And we just keep going. What's selling around your house? Would you be interested in receiving a market report, right? That was a play off of a text that we had sent earlier. Now we get into Ben's team has a thing called the would sell list. Not wood like a tree, but they would like WOULD. They would sell. And we keep a list of these things. These are expired properties. They're people that have come to our valuation site and said, oh, okay, thanks for letting me know how much my house is worth. We're not ready to sell right now. We've got a whole script we do with those people that basically says, hey, that's awesome. Listen, would you mind if we put you on our would sell list and call you later? If we ever have a buyer that's looking for your specific home, would you be okay if we called you and asked you if the time was right and if we could come to a price? Like, would you be willing to listen to those conversations from us when we had a real buyer? We have lots of people in Bellingham and some of our different markets on these would sell lists, and these are lists that we could present to a buyer who might be having a hard time finding houses. And in Bellingham right now, that's a real problem. In many of our markets, that's a problem. Just continuing to offer value. Would you want to see a list of homes not listed on the market, right? It's a play off of that email, right? Email went that morning while they were at work. Text message went that night when they got home. Did I drop the ball, right? Are you getting my messages? Like, my God, man, it's been 15 times I've tried to contact you. Text. This text, I'm shocked. Like, I've seen many of these. I just saw one 5 minutes before I started on the call with you guys. All the text says is, Jimmy? You'd be like, I should look and try to figure this out. A lot of times all the response is yes, ... Like if it had been this long, this is the 12th text I've sent this person. If I sent him a text that said Jimmy, and by the way, this is day 10, right? We're basically at the end almost. If they responded with yes, ... I'd say, oh my God, you were alive, you are alive. Thank goodness. I was gonna send an ambulance or something. Right? Like just like play it off as a joke. Like start to build that rapport with somebody. Right? I don't know if you have to have a little bit of personality. I don't know if having a little bit of personality, having a joke in your back pocket, having something that like you should have something, right? That gets people to want to like get into that back and forth interaction with you. This is another guilt text. Jimmy, are you there, Jimmy? Right? This is the very last text. It's the last thing we do as part of the 10 days of pain. I love texting. You hate responding. Just wanted you to know I will continue reaching out until I earn your business or hear something different about your situation. And we put that in there because from this point forward, this is another guilt text. Just, man, I've texted you 13 times. I've emailed you 7, and I've called you 4. Just like 22 touches. Ben jokes that it's called the 10 days of pain because it's as painful for the agent to do it as it is for the consumer to receive it. We've made it less painful for the agent to do it. Brivity gives you the tools, the auto plans, the triggers that can fire automatically, right? So really the pain on the agent is those 3 calls they got to make and setting the listing alert up. And then like responding when they say something. And that's the 10 days of pain is designed to get them to respond to you or get them to potentially set an appointment with you. But a lot of times the agent has to take over, right? When they respond now, you're in charge now. This one gets a bunch of response too. And a lot of people are very apologetic. Hey, I'm so sorry. Listen, I never responded because we're just not ready right now. And it's going to be 9 months before we're even in a position where we're fixing our credit right now, whatever it is, right? Hey, that's awesome. And that's great. No big deal. We work with lots of people to land on our website that don't buy for 9 months, right? All right. So after it's over, okay, and this, because again, we're talking about leads in that first 6 months, right? That 2%. But what happens after that? Really, it's talking first 10 days, but what happens after? Okay, after the 10 days of pain, the listing alerts continue to go. Maybe a long-term drip, like email, text campaign, if you have one. I'm anti that because I think it just becomes a bunch of more, it's just crap. Let listing alerts be that thing that continues to drip on them. And by the way, unless you're using something like a Happy Grasshopper, right, that they're really good at that long-term nurture, and their stuff is I mean, that's all they do, and they highly specialize in it. But most of our long-term drips are just a bunch of spam, right? We talked earlier about sometimes you don't close leads because you just spam them. Every one of our leads that's run through the 10 days of pain has to then have a reminder set for 1 month out. Obviously, if we've made contact, right, we determine their motivation level, and we set reminders based on that motivation level and what we want to do and how we want to follow up based on their very unique situation. And 100 different people that we made contact with are going to have 100 different situations. So I'm not sure how you automate that. What I do know is you set a reminder of the next thing you need, the next step in your head of how you're going to move that person down the funnel. Now, we continue to monitor their search activity, right? Every day our agents are going in and they're sorting their database by the last visit to the website to see which of those people are coming back. You might move these people to an inactive status in Brivity. If you do that, it moves them out of the lead index by default, and you only see them if you go into the filter and you say, show me my inactives. Which means if I put all my inactives that come through the 10 days of pain and have had no response into inactive, but they have a listing alert, I'm only going to see their visits back to the website if I go to the lead index, I filter to show inactives, and then I sort my inactives by their last visit. That's actually how some of our teams do it. So once a week, we go into the inactives, and anybody that has come back, we'll move them back over to unqualified. And we'll get more aggressive than just once a month. We may move to once a week contact attempts with them. But anytime they come back to the website, there's contact attempts being made, smart attempts. Hey, I saw you on the site yesterday looking at a property in Ferndale. Was there anything about that property that caught your eye particularly? Wow, that word did not spill out of my mouth like it should have. I'm not even going to try it again. I don't even think I can say particularly. Oh my goodness. That's a tongue twister. I want everybody on this call right now to say particularly. Could anybody actually say it? You must have been an English major or something. All right. Or you're not a redneck hick like I am. And that's it. Right? That's the 10 days of pain at 11:59 with 1 minute to spare. Here's the deal, okay? If you are not a Brivity client, I'm going to offer you something that has never been offered. Like sometimes people say that, I think, and they're like blowing smoke. I literally yesterday had to convince Ben to do this. We have Ben Kinney's listing presentation. Our team used this exact listing presentation to land well north of 1,000 listings in 2018. This listing presentation is a file that you can totally customize it, change your logo out, and have a really smoking hot listing presentation. It's professionally designed. Josiah, our lead designer, designed it with Ben over his shoulder. It's really awesome. The only people that have this are Ben's teams and our Brivity clients. And by the way, if you're a Brivity client on here that doesn't have Ben's listing presentation, go in the CRM, chat with support, and ask them to get your hands on the listing presentation. If you're not a Brivity client, all you have to do to get this listing presentation is do a demo with us. You don't even have to buy. Okay, we'll give you Ben's listing presentation if you do a demo. So you can go to brivity.com and just, there's a button right there, do a demo. Look, if you hate it, they'll probably keep you on there for about 12 minutes. And you can get like the listing presentation that, I don't know, it was like 1,400 and some odd listings or something. No questions asked, okay? Here's what you have to do though. When you do the demo with the rep, because nobody else knows about this, you have to tell the rep, please send me Ben's listing presentation. Bob said on the webinar, if I did this demo with you, you'd send it to me. Now, if you like what you hear, the demo could take a little bit longer, guys, because they might take you in. You might have questions, and they can drive you in and look you around Brivity and show you what it's all about, show you many of the tools we didn't even talk about as part of the 10 days of pain, right? But they'll also show you things like the auto plans and how they work, show you things like the websites, you know, how do we see when people are coming back, right? All these kind of elements that we talked about in here. Then, if you're not a Brivity client, you go, you do the demo, you get Ben's listing presentation. If you become a client of ours, Ben told me we will invite you to come to Bellingham, and you can spend a day with us in Bellingham, totally looking through Ben's real estate operation. We have teams at least once a week. There's a team from somewhere in the country who's in our building, going through and looking at how we operate. You know, joining us for scripts and dialogues in the morning, sitting in the room with our agents as we do our prospecting calls and we follow up with our leads from 9 to noon. Going out if you want and seeing how we preview property. Like you can dig into any element of our business. Bring your admin and they can sit with Christina, who managed about 1,000 transactions by herself in 2018 using Brivity's transaction management software. So if you become a Brivity client because of the demo and as a result of this webinar today, Ben has told me that you guys will have this invitation to come and dig into any part of our business that interests you. So with that being said, let's answer some questions. We're at the end of the hour. I want to respect your guys' time. If you have to go, I totally understand. Let's go in and so I got a bunch of people saying, hey, I'm a current client. I don't have the listing presentation. Where do I find it? Let me pull this page over here. Let me get out of my kind of full screen mode here. Here's what you do, okay? If you want to, here's what you do. If you're a current client and you want to get the listing presentation, just come right in here into Brivity, right? And right in the bottom here, there's a chat, and just chat in and whatever, Brivity tools, doesn't matter. And just message and say, hey, I was on Bob's webinar, and he mentioned that as Brivity clients, we get access to Ben's listing presentation, and they'll send you back what you need. So that's how you're gonna do that. Kyle, my friend, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you on here. Yeah, so Alex, the 10 days of pain that's in the CRM right now, I think we call it Platform 10 Days of Pain. It's different content. Jolene and I, about, I don't know, a couple of months ago, we rolled this out. When we roll these things out to you guys, like this one, we're gonna roll it out here in the next couple of days. You'll get this actual plan in your deal. Here, I'll show you what, let's see, where is it at? Karen has it. I'll show you, you'll get it in there. So it's different right now. But what we do with these, we don't just build these things and think, oh, we're super smart, right? Like, we built this flawless plan. We build them knowing that we're not very smart. And then we have Ben's teams test them out, right? So his expansion teams have been running on these things, some of them at different levels. Let's see if Karen's team is running on them right now. Come in here to auto plans. Yeah, so the Ben Kinney team, 10 Days of Pain, they've got 51 people. So her team's only been running it for about the last month. There's a couple of teams that have been running it for about 3 months. We've made a bunch of adjustments because, again, we realize we're not that smart. Okay, so when we first built it to what it is, the one I just showed you guys, we've made a bunch of little tweaks. And they're subtle tweaks, but they all go to the purpose of the plan, which is get them to reply so we can get into a conversation with them so we can build rapport, or angle for an appointment, right? And we do that through the things of value that we have in our world that we can offer them, right? The zero cost the zero lender fee mortgage, the our own knowledge about real estate and some of the tax benefits of real estate, our market report tool and the ability to keep them up to date on what's going on around them, right? Those are all elements of that plan that we're offering to them along the way. But so to answer your question, it is going to be different verbiage than you've seen in there. About 3 months ago, we totally revamped these things, redid it. We actually backed off the number of calls also. We used to, and we I wouldn't say doubled down on the text, but we definitely pushed a little bit more of our money into the text pot. So they're a little bit heavier on text today, and that's a result of just seeing a lot of text responses, right? Like we've been doing a whole series this month of training with our agents on how to build rapport via text. And there's, I don't know. I can't tell you how many times we see agents, the person replies and says not interested, and the agent just goes, they literally never respond with anything. They just stop. Like not interested, to me, the response is that's fantastic. We end up having the pleasure of working with lots of people that when they first came to our website the first day, they weren't interested in talking to us. That's okay, right? We're going to be in real estate for a long time, so whenever you're ready, you just let us know. And in the meantime, we've got listings coming out to you based on the stuff you were looking at on the website. This is the one that you have. So you can see where we transitioned her at some point over to this other one. Actually, it looks like she hadn't even been on it that long. She just got transitioned a couple weeks ago. All right, boom, boom, boom. If we don't currently have a list of would sell homes, just figure out another item of value to offer them, I would imagine. Absolutely, Kathy. Yeah, I mean, you got two options there, right? Like delete that text, like don't have that be an element, or yeah, think of something else that you do that's unique, or some item of value that you can offer, something your office offers, whatever that is, right? Absolutely, you would want to do something like that. But the reality, like if you don't currently have a list of want to sell homes, your MLS has a list. They're called expired listings. I don't know. There's a thought. Yeah, Robert, we'll email the recording of this webinar out to anybody. Tony, that's a great question. Do you use the same 3 calls technique on the second and third call? We do not, Tony. On the second and third call, we just leave a message. We only do it that first time. And some of that first time is around that bailout, right? That bailout, if they're pissed when they answer on the third time, is this idea that we want to get to you right away. We pride ourselves on follow-up. We know often when somebody starts looking online, it's the most vital time in their search. And so we were just really excited to get a hold of you. That becomes a little bit less like meaningful on the third time. 5 days later, we're calling them 3 times in a row. So we only do it on the first time. So this is a great question. Patricia says, if the lead responds to any of our communication, text, email, phone, will the next communication that is automated stop? No, Patricia, only if they reply to a text. If they reply to an email, you have to go in and pause the plan right now. We are just around the corner from having that also pause, assuming you have your Gmail integrated and connected through our Gmail connection. If that's the case, then we're just around the corner from having them pause on a reply to an email as well. But today they don't do that. You would have to go in and pause that plan. Not on a phone call. If they call you or they call you back or they answer the call when you call them, you gotta pause the plan as well. I mean, there's just so many questions in here. Questions like, could you go back to the last slide? Sorry, Claudia, I'm not sure what slide that would have even been. So yeah, it's recorded. We'll get this out to everybody. Does Brivity have an app that you can use for text messaging? Yes, Walt, we do. It's called our Brivity Go app, and we basically funnel all the text through there, and you can run all your back and forth conversations through that thread. And when they send you a text, we do notifications on that app. So yes, we do have an app. It's called Brivity Go, Walt. All right, I've gone way back. So some of the older questions, if you're still here and you want one of your older questions answered, yeah, Mira says, go back for me and go on the slides of why my leads don't get closed. So we'll come right up here to the top of the 10 days of pain. And here's going to be why your leads don't get closed. So if you want to take a screenshot of your screen right now, here, I'll even make it a little bit easier for you, maybe. Why leads don't get closed. And I'm going to flip this slide in a second, Mira, and it will be another. Bobby says, is it easy to pause from the app? Yes, Bobby. Anybody who's a current client of ours, like, make sure your app is up to date. Okay, so updated in the App Store. But if you download that app when we very first launched it, you may even want to delete the entire app off your phone and then re-grab it from the App Store. But yes, it's basically just, find the lead in there, you scroll down to the area where the auto plan is, and you tap on the little pause icon. Super easy. Cecile says, to get seller leads, what items of value do you have to get them to sign up on your website? So we offer our marketing plan. So we've got like a really professionally designed, good looking marketing plan. You know what? That it's very close, by the way, to our listing presentation. The marketing plan and our listing presentation play off of each other. So that's one of the things we offered to give them a home valuation. We get these calls to action around getting a marketing, but really that marketing plan for us is a big one. As you scroll down this page, we do things like, we talk about our pricing strategy and how we determine pricing on properties. We talk about our internet marketing and kind of how we market homes online. We talk about our reach. We talk about how we do updates with them and real-time updates through our Brivity platform, right? So, getting seller leads is more about the offer you're making at the place where the advertising is happening, Cecile. So it's more about getting them to your website. Oh, I'll tell you what, the most, this page right here, is this the page? Oh man, somebody's in trouble. Okay, this page right here, what is your home worth? That's generally the offer. Find out what your house is worth today, right? And we drive them to this page, they just put in their address, and then it starts down this, a click funnel. It's a funnel essentially to get them to give us all their information. But so it's more about that marketing message that's driving them there than it, a lot of times the offer is this, the value of your home. Sometimes we'll do advertising around the idea of getting our marketing plan. What do you use for video, email, and texting? That's a great question, Walt. So for the video emailing, we use BombBomb, but it's not fully integrated with Brivity. So our people are kind of running this one on the side until we get that API connection set up with BombBomb. And then for video texting, we're just using our cell phones. We'll have days sometimes where we'll all kind of go out in the sun and just literally pull our cell phone out and just start texting some of our leads videos, right? Quick ones, 15 seconds. Hey, Jim, this is Bob Stewart at the Ben Kinney team. Listen, you've been on our website a bunch in the last year. We love having you come and look at houses. I just wanted you to know, we haven't had a chance to connect. I'm a real person. I'm here if you need anything. And we look forward to being able to help you when you guys are ready. Send, right, as a text message from my cell phone. Joey says, will the Brivity Go app get to a point where you never have to open a computer? I doubt it. We'll keep inching towards more functionality in there, Joey. I don't know that you'll ever be able to like manage an auto plan from the Brivity Go app, or at least if you were, it's way into the future. When I say manage an auto plan, I mean like build one out, right? Make changes to it. Change this from going out 3 minutes after to going out 5 minutes after. Like change the wording in one of those plans, right? Like stuff like that. Ashley says, any future plans for Brivity IDX leads to be verified, name and number when they come in? The instant we can get we've been down this path for a while now. Ben Verified's one of the company's people. You got to find that data provider. Ben Kinney's maybe on the verge of trying to solve that problem ourselves. Like, yes, that's very much a high priority for us, is getting you not only verifying their name and number, but potentially getting you some of that other information that's publicly available about that person. Do they own a house? Do they have a mortgage on that house? Do they, I mean, there's lots of things that like our agents have to go find right now, and our Ben Kinney's agents have to go find that stuff too. We use Ben Verified to do that, but we definitely want to suck that stuff in for you. MailChimp will integrate with Brivity through a Zapier connection, but it's not like a full API straight up connection. Okay, so Rick says, so over time, let's say 2 years, you convert 6% of registrations. So for the past 2 years, if you've averaged 2,000 leads, so you've had 2,000 leads in the last 2 years, you should have had 120 transactions out of that. Yeah, is that the math? I used to be on the math team in high school, but my brain's mush these days for math. What's the math on that? 10% is 200, which means 6% is 120. Yeah, yep, 120. You got it, 2,000 leads. Now, sometimes we get there despite ourselves, right? Sometimes we have a really good source of leads, right? Some people just love realtor.com leads. Sometimes we have a good source of leads that gets us to those numbers, right? Sometimes our systems get them to, so despite ourselves, right, the systems get us to those numbers, because we don't set the listing alert off, we forget, we don't set a reminder, we don't follow up with them once a month. Like, listen, guys, we do this at a high level. None of our teams do this optimally on every lead that comes in the way that we discussed today. This is an ideal that we strive for every day, right? And we inspect what we expect, and we chip away, and we sit down and work with agents one-on-one to get them over their fear of calling, and we have them do scripts and dialogues so they feel comfortable with what they're going to say on the phone, right? I mean, this is a process that we've built over a long amount of time, but you can't get started unless you put a process together. All right, I'll tell you what, guys, I apologize. We're getting close to my next thing on my agenda. I'm humbled that there's still 150 of you guys sitting in here with me right now. I appreciate the heck out of every single one of you, Brivity client or not, for spending some time with me today. I hope you took a couple of nuggets out of here. We'll have these things in your Brivity accounts. Give us a couple of days. It's probably going to be early next week based on that particular developer and what I know is on his agenda. So thank you, everybody. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week in real estate. For Mikey, who might have answered some of your questions behind the scenes, the rest of our team, Ben and Jolene, who are kind of the creators of this thing, thanks to them. You guys have an awesome rest of your week in real estate. My name is Bob Stewart. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.